Omar Khan has shown to be his own man as GM, but there's also a lot of his methodology that unmistakably has been carried over from his time working under Kevin Colbert, and I think we're coming across another one of those right now. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Steelers signed not one, but two defensive linemen out of free agency yesterday. One of them was to bring back Isaiah Loudermilk, a one-year contract. No money was announced, but it's not going to be much. And the other one was Daniel Ekuale, who comes from the Patriots by way of a bunch of other teams. In 2024, for New England, he started 16 games, had 52 tackles, 2 of them for a loss, a sack, 3 quarterback hits. That's pretty good, and I understand the Patriots' defense was not. So I also understand that he wouldn't have been starting for most teams. But if you're going to start, and you're going to be, well, he's 31 now, and he was 30 then, of that age and of that experience level, and by the way, of that track record, meaning he hadn't been anywhere near as busy with his previous employers, then go right ahead and make an impact, which he did. Pro Football Focus, regardless of what you think of them, and I don't think much generally, but I'll also latch onto the occasional cool stat, had him credited with 26 stops. And a stop, according to the people at PFF, means the number of times that a defender makes a tackle that constitutes a, quote, failure, end quote, for the offense. So if you want to look for a comparison point here, Ekuale's 26 stacked up against Cam Hayward having 47 of those. Cam played way more snaps, 838 to Ekuale 723. And Keanu Benton had 23 stops in 671 snaps. So what you have is someone who was out there not just taking up space the way it'd be easy to portray someone who's playing at 6'3", 310 pounds. Guy was getting the job done. Now, do I think he'll be the starter here or somebody who pushes Benton to a different spot? No, I don't. And I certainly don't think that about Loudermilk, with all due love and respect to a really good dude who gives it his all. But here's what I do see from this, and it's based on the pattern that Khan has very clearly now inherited from the Colbert days, and that's this. When it's time to make a draft pick, when it's time to focus on a position within a draft, and doubly so when it's within the first 2 or 3 rounds, you will see the Steelers make a run on that position within free agency and within reason. Meaning, they'll go into the offseason. This stuff happens in January and February, and identify, all right, we need defensive line, we need running back, we need cornerback, and so forth. And then from there, they'll look at the class that's coming up, the class that they've long since been studying, but only now get a chance to really add some meat to that analysis in the form of the various combines and pro days. And in this case, they'll see, defensive line. Wow. I mean, there are so many of these guys. There's no way that a really good one, possibly a great one, won't fall to us where we're picking without having to move up or down or anything. So the smoke signal that's sent in advance of that is they go and they get other players because they really don't want, they'll say this out loud, to enter any draft needing a player at any position in that draft. And what's probably an even more powerful indicator of that still being the process now is bringing in Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell, of course, comes with the profile of being a backup running back. Anybody who's playing same position on the same team with Saquon Barkley is going to be a backup. But even if he's that, and even since he's been acquired just last week, I have heard again that the Steelers remain drop-dead serious about drafting a running back. Not high, not in the first round, not one of those Najee Harris type, oh, God, they have to take a running back or bust scenarios. But they're going to get one. And Gainwell actually sets the stage for that. What does that mean for quarterback? You know what it means? Today, I'm not even going to talk about quarterbacks. That's what it means. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
I gotta tell you, I had to dig through literally dozens of J1Q entries that came in yesterday to find just one that wasn't going to be about quarterbacks. And even this one, at least parenthetically, mentions a quarterback. So congratulations to you, Gary, for poking through on this. Says, hey, DK, with all the focus on the new wide receiver and DK Metcalf, how do you see this year going for Pat Freiermuth? Pat should be good over the middle with Mason Rudolph at quarterback and Metcalf also drawing some attention too. The middle of the field is one of those discussion points that never really finds a common culprit, and there's a reason for that. For example, if you look back to when Kenny Pickett was the undisputed starter and Matt Canada was his coordinator, you'll remember that almost 100% of the focus on the Kenny game plan was do not throw picks. Whatever you do, don't throw picks. Throw it 12 rows up, but don't throw picks. You'll also remember that Mitch Trubisky was brought over, well, by way of Buffalo, but to be de-Bearsified. And the only way that was going to happen with Mitch was to get him to not throw picks either. Then along comes Justin Fields, the next in line to be de-Bearsified. And while they weren't nearly as restrictive with Fields, and of course he had a different coordinator in Arthur Smith, they also weren't nuts about throwing over the middle field with him at quarterback. Then Russell Wilson gets healthy and gets put in for week 7. And Russ is a completely different case because he's never thrown over the middle of the field. He's never liked it, and he especially didn't appear to like it when he was having to run for his life behind that line. Oh, and not being able to run for his life, at least not to safety. So, who's the one quarterback in all this time that I've mentioned now, this entire frame from post-Ben Roethlisberger to now, who's had A, the license to throw over the middle, and B, actually done it? That's right, pal. It was just a couple games of Mason Rudolph. There's no way you thought I was getting through this whole show without at least a little bit, right? But it's true. It's true. And in fact, out of those 4 starts, the only one in which he did not throw over the middle was the one in which Mike Tomlin had cast Jordan Poyer in the role of boogeyman, something he does an awful lot of. He finds a safety that he fears. He plays up this safety all week long, and when the game comes around, he does not permit his offense, or his coordinator, or his quarterback from throwing to a certain place. Not coincidentally, it wasn't until the second half of that playoff loss in Orchard Park that Rudolph was allowed to throw over the middle, and the Steelers finally started moving the ball a little more consistently. Don't forget that the head coach himself is an obstacle to this offense. He just is. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. I might try even harder tomorrow to avoid quarterbacks. Might even succeed. Don't forget, we've also got our Double Shot show on video live today at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app, of course. You can find it pretty much everywhere, to be honest. Come and join us. It's fun.